I think that whatever magic there may be in this movie, it all comes from David O. Russell.
And I heard the name David O. Russell, and I was like, yes.
David O. Russell cares about his characters more than anything and making them authentic.
I've always wanted to work with him.
David really did all that. He created this world.
David is such an amazing writer because each of his characters are their own story.
Hi, my name is Alexandra.
And I'm Lindsay.
Now, if you live under a rock and have never heard of David O. Russell, he is most recently known for directing The Fighter and writing and directing American Hustle, soon-to-be-released Joy, and Silver Linings Playbook, which we will be discussing to determine who is the author of the film.
Now this guy's name is Francois Truffaut, who is most known for creating the auteur theory,
which basically states even though there are hundreds of people who collaborate for a film, there is only one sole author of the film.
He is quoted in his essay, A Certain Tendency of French Cinema, saying, "I consider an adaptation of value only when written by a man of the cinema, and that is truly the director, writer, and producer David O. Russell."
I'd never adapted a book before.
Only few directors can write and direct their first adaptation and get multiple Oscar nominations.
It is based on the novel of the same title by Matthew
When you hear
Quick.
someone like David O. Russell, it really put my mind at ease because I love his work. You know, there hasn't been a David O. Russell movie that I haven't enjoyed.
Which initially drew O. Russell to the project because his son has Asperger's. He had never adapted a screenplay before, but he was drawn to making a film that would be relatable to his son.
I was looking for a story that I thought could help my son or anybody like him feel part of the world. So this book was a godsend to me.
Before we continue, here's a quick summary of Silver Linings Playbook.
After Pat Solitano is released from a mental institution, he struggles to balance his bipolar disorder with winning back his wife,
He's waiting for me to...
the ups and downs of the Philadelphia Eagles football season, and a new relationship with an offbeat widow who stalks him on runs and wants him to be her partner in a dance competition.
Jennifer Lawrence, who plays the widow Tiffany, won the Oscar for Silver Linings, and Bradley Cooper, who plays Pat, was nominated and should have won for his outstanding, convincing, emotional, heart-wrenching performance. But that's another video essay.
Ow! Tremendous.
Hey! Whoa! Anyways, one of the main differences between Quick's novel and O. Russell's script is the characters. O. Russell enhanced the personalities of each character from the somewhat quiet observer Tiffany in the book to Jennifer Lawrence's talkative and persistent Tiffany in the film.
Please!
Calm down, crazy.
And I was then able to rewrite it over the 5 years for Robert De Niro appeared. He very much wanted to do it, so I rewrote that role for him.
The book was different. My character was different.
The father in the novel was very distant from the main character, Pat, when he came back home from the mental institution, or the bad place, as he likes to call it. Pat explains in the novel, when Dad's not at work, he's in his study, reading historical fiction with the door shut.
Why don't you run with me, huh?
Mom says he needs time to get used to my living at home again.
7 minutes in, no score. Come on, help turn the juju
I see
around.
Dad in the hallways of our house, of course, but he doesn't look at me when we pass.
I'm more concerned about you than anything else.
Dad only looks at me like he wants to hit me in the face again.
I mean, I think it would be wise if we spend father-son time.
As you can see, David O. Russell decided to take a different approach on this
As far
character.
as my character goes, he was much more, there were different colors. I always say, I liked it like they pulled him inside out.
I want to do everything I can to help you get back on your feet.
He also made the father struggle with OCD tendencies and extreme superstitions, which was not in the novel and was a big part of the film, showing that Pat wasn't the only one dealing with a personal issue.
OCD.
In the film, his superstition is basically religious, and it comes to a climax here. David O. Russell claims this was one of the most difficult scenes for him to write. This is where Tiffany's goal of the dance competition and Pat's dad's goal of the Eagles winning, and therefore winning him money through gambling, meet face to face with Pat stuck in the middle. That being said, it's worth noting that this scene and all of the dads betting on Eagles games is not found anywhere in the original novel, and many of the talking points in this scene stem purely from David O. Russell's additional storylines and character development. Examples of this include
the Eagles beat the 49ers.
Tiffany's research on sports statistics,
Does anybody here happen to know what the official motto of the state of New York is on the official seal of the
and
state
Pat's
of New York?
motto, Excelsior.
Anybody? Do you know?
No.
Excelsior. Not that I give a fuck, about football or about your superstitions, but if it's me reading the signs, I don't send the Eagles guy whose personal motto is Excelsior.
Double or nothing on the Bengals next week. Is that what you're saying?
And the narrative alignment of the dance and the Eagles-Cowboys game happening on the same night.
Against the Cowboys.
Hard to imagine the story without
I
it.
know who his team is.
When is the game?
December 28th, last game of the season. Same day as the Benjamin Franklin Pairs Open Freestyle Dance Competition.
Another way to look at David O. Russell's impact on the narrative is the way he expands the perspective that the audience can experience. The original novel is in first person, but the film gives other characters a chance to take the lead. Particularly in this scene, not only does Pat barely speak, but most times he is shown he is in the background and slightly out of focus, and in terms of blocking, he is literally standing in the corner.
In the novel, there are fights between Pat's mother and father, and at one point the mother goes out all night drinking due to her relationship with her husband. This subplot was left out of the movie completely, and the mother and father seem to have a stable relationship.
For his
It's
wedding
game day.
video.
I'm making Krabby snacks and homemade.
An example where David O. Russell sticks closely to the novel is when Tiffany and Pat meet at a dinner at Pat's best friend's house. Although a lot of the expositional dialogue and talking points are the same as in the book, the two funniest moments, which really carry the otherwise dry dinner conversation, are only found in David O. Russell's screenplay.
You ever take Klonopin?
Klonopin, yeah.
Right?
Jesus.
Like, is it what? You have a problem.
I have a problem? You say more inappropriate things than appropriate things.
Besides the differences between the novel and the script, David O. Russell made it his own by adding his own directorial techniques. David O. Russell is a fan of the shot of Jennifer Lawrence walking angrily directly at the camera. He also loves a good quick pan and dramatic zoom in and out. He also loves a good tracking shot. And using the same actors in his films.
French film critic Truffaut said that the director should absorb the novel and adapt the spirit of it. David O. Russell clearly did that.
What David O. Russell brings to this tale is a greater sense of authenticity, more laughs, and some of the best performances seen on screen.
Although it is an adaptation, he brings so much of his own style to the story that he makes it his own.